Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver. 17 times voted best auto repair in Vancouver by their customers. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing really well.
So we're going to talk about the Ford Explorer. It's got a bit of a checkered history. A friend of mine owned one, nicknamed his the Exploder. Kind of had a lot of problems with lawsuits and rollovers. What happens with Explorers?
Well, speaking of that, or those earlier models with the rollovers, I mean, that was an interesting issue. The Explorer was an incredibly popular vehicle when it came out, and the rollover issue, a lot of it, may have not been so much the vehicle, but the tires and even the recommended tire inflation. What Ford had recommended is inflate the tires to 26 psi, which is pretty low inflation for a tire, especially a truck tire. And the reason they did that is just so the vehicle would have a nice sort of more car-like ride as opposed to a bouncy truck ride. But the thing that happened with a lot of people is they don't check their tire pressures. So you lose typically a pound of pressure a month in your tire. So eventually, after not looking at it for a year, those 26 psi tires were down to about, I don't know, 14 psi. And then everyone loads their vehicle up for a family holiday with lots of weight in it. Tires get hot, they explode. So that, the vehicle being the type of vehicle it is, tends to roll over. So that's kind of a lot of what happened with that. I think had people filled their tires up to like 32 or 35 pounds, a lot of that may not have happened. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's talk about more modern Explorers, because that's people aren't really buying a 1986 Explorer anymore. They're looking at newer ones in the 2000 range. So there's a lot of issues with these vehicles. Typically, what we see most of are engine problems, especially 4-liter engines. We see them, continuously coming in with rattling timing chains. And these are, older, getting on with the high, around 200,000 kilometers, which isn't really high. But the way the engine is designed is a timing chain at the front of the engine for one bank, so a timing chain at the rear of the engine for the other. So you can just imagine if the rear chain fails, which it does, you have to pull the engine out to take it apart. It's really expensive, and really by the time they happen, it's almost usually not worth fixing.
Wow. So are there any other engine problems, or?
Yeah, I mean, there are engine misfires caused by bad ignition coils or spark plugs. I mean, these don't pop spark plugs out or seize spark plugs like the F-150s and the other Ford engines. But those are problems that happen. Coil failures, spark plugs. Also, cooling system issues. They use a lot of plastic parts in the cooling system, like a lot of manufacturers. So the thermostat housings will leak and fail. Radiators too are a pretty common problem, especially the. I'm just sort of looking at a couple notes I had here around the 2006 model year. For some reason, radiator failures are really high. So that might be a model to avoid, but we've repaired them in all sorts of different ranges of years.
How about the transmissions?
Transmission failures are also a really common item on these vehicles, and yeah, that's one. As the vehicles have gotten newer in the 2010 range, the transmission issues seem to have gone away. But again, the earlier ones, a lot of failures. Even going back to those earlier generations, the flip over types, transmission problems were really common in those too.
Steering, suspension, drivetrain?
Fairly good. Yeah, not a lot of problems. Again, we've run into electronic transfer case issues from time to time, but the differentials, the drive shafts, those type of things, they all seem to be built pretty solid. Nothing exceptional in that area.
How about inside the vehicle, the common failures, AC, heating, power windows, doors, locks?
We seem to fix a few issues with the heating system, like heater blower motors, but nothing unusual. The fit and finishes, I'd just say okay. I mean, we see a lot where the plastic interior parts wear out, but that's more of a cosmetic thing than anything else. But the power windows and those sorts of things, they seem to be fairly reliable.
So, bottom line, would you recommend a Ford Explorer for someone, as a vehicle for someone to buy?
Not really, no. To be perfectly blunt, I mean, they're nice vehicles when they're new, and but yeah, there's so many things that go wrong with them. It'd be better to dollar for dollar look at something else, maybe a Toyota Highlander or something. I'm not sure if I'm comparing the right equivalent vehicle there, but there's other vehicles to look at. But if you want to fix your Explorer, we'd love to take care of you. We do a lot of them, and we do it well.
So there you go. If you need to make sure you get the full life out of your Explorer in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment, or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. It's world famous now. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.